We are all trying to follow PM Modi's vision of 2047 insurance for all. Insurtech in isolation will probably not be the right business model. It's been a long journey, 13 odd years for us.
I come from that background of quantum physics, but till date I have not understood. But we all learn, right, in the process.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome on. I'm Shilpi Dasgupta from Zopper, and we are here for our ZopperSpeak leadership series. I am with Mr. Surjendu Kuila, who's the co-founder and CEO of Zopper. Thank you so much, Surjendu, for joining us.
Pleasure to be here, Shilpi.
Thank you. So, Surjendu, the concept of embedded finance or insurance was nothing new sorts, okay? It did exist some decades ago. But because of digital economy, digitization, and millennials, to be honest, we have seen that the growth has been exponential. So what is your take about this? And how do you see this concept of embedded finance or insurance growing in the coming time?
Sure, it's a very pertinent question, Shilpi. If you look at the insurance industry to be in particular and finance in general, what we have seen is post 2001, when the opening up of the industry happened, there was a lot of new initiatives that started coming in. So if you look at net, insurance industry would be around 23 years old post opening up of the the sector. Despite that, if you look at it today, the penetration of insurance in India would be around 4%, 1% on general insurance, and around 3.1% on the life side. Also, if you look at most of the channels of insurance companies, there is a concept called as combined operating ratio, which talks about the investment that you need to do to basically get returns out of specific channels that you are operating on. So most of the insurance industry, insurance companies channels operate at more than 100% COR, which means no insurance company or very few insurance companies in India make operating profit, which goes on to say that in the last 23 years, most of the insurance companies have not been able to build in efficiency in the distribution side of the business. Now, when you come to technology, our sincere belief, and that's how we sort of started, that's the genesis of Zopper. Our belief was very simple, that today, if you want to increase penetration of insurance, and if you want to distribute insurance to the last mile, technology has to play a very pivotal role, right? What is the job of technology today is to basically reduce the marginal cost of distribution, which means the amount of money that you need to invest in deploying insurance to the last mile reduces as and when you see economies of scale. So our belief is that 10, 15 years down the line, technology will be the fulcrum of insurance distribution, and will play a very pivotal role as far as the distribution side of insurance is concerned.
That was interesting. So, Surjendu, that brings to my second question, that the fact that Insurtech is disrupting, and rightly you said, how do you see that this industry will help the economy, and how will growth happen through this industry?
Sure. So, we are all trying to follow PM Modi's vision of 2047 insurance for all. And I'm pretty sure that won't happen otherwise. That won't happen unless and until the insurance industry sort of encapsulates technology as something which will be the bellwether for anything that's innovative in nature. My sincere belief is that if you look at Insurtech, so to say, you can look at it from two lenses. One is lens from the distribution side, where Zopper plays an important role. And you also look at it from the lens of an insurer. If you look at it from the distribution side, my belief is Insurtech in isolation will probably not be the right business model. So you have to work very closely with insurance companies, hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, to ensure that the distribution and the marginal cost of distribution reduces because insurance companies are using technology players like us. So that's on the Insurtech side from the lens of a distributor. If you look at the disruption that's happening on the insurance tech side, that is from the lens of an insurance company, you will realize that most of the technology stack that the insurance companies use today, they are built 20, 30 years ago. So they would be built on COBOL and very early languages. I believe that there is a lot of disruption that can happen in that space, right? The players who are trying to disrupt that space are not very scaled up players. So anybody who is trying to come in now to disrupt Insurtech, I believe there's a lot of interesting play that can happen on the insurance side. And on the distribution side, I reiterate that most of the companies that I see today, more would be fluff than stuff. So if you really want to, work sincerely and create some sort of a, niche in the industry, you have to work very closely with the insurance companies hand in hand to better the penetration and also reduce the marginal cost of distribution.
I would say that you really simplified the whole thing for us. And when you spoke about partnership, I'll now come to your life that you, of course, is my thought of Zopper. So can you just take us through your entrepreneurial journey and, the earlier years? Why Zopper?
Okay. So started back in 2011, December, if I'm not wrong. And it's been a long journey, 13 odd years for us. We started as a hyperlocal e-commerce, then pivoted our business to trying to bring in productivity to the SME industry. We sold that business to PhonePe in 2018. So our current avatar of the insurance landscape, Zopper being in, it would be last 6 years. So we started 2018 and we have been sort of running it for the last 6 years. Prior to 2016, building business in India was very tough because you did not have geo, which means your customer acquisition cost was super high. Your download cost was super high. You did not have infrastructure support, which means today, all of us are very, very accustomed to, point-to-point logistics because of Zomato, Swiggy, and Blinkit and whatnot. But back in those days, there was no concept called point-to-point logistics. So it was all hub and spoke, right? Which means your cost of operations, cost of logistics was super, super high. So it was very difficult to build operationally efficient businesses back then. So it was a lot of learning for us. We learned a lot. We did all kinds of mistakes. But 2018 post, we realized that, we would not do those mistakes. And hence we have been able to build the company in a very sustainable way.
So we are almost nearing the end of this episode, but we have a little rapid fire for you. And before you leave, we'd like to ask you certain questions, though, if we are, with your permission, if you're ready. So Surjendu, tell us one thing that really stood out at Zopper.
Okay, so I think back in 2014, we raised a $15 million round from Tiger Global. From start to end, which is like starting the due diligence process to wiring the amount, it was, I think, a 3-week process. It was very quick. Typically, it takes between 6 months to a year. So I think that's probably would be the most memorable.
And if you can just tell us about your life move in general or at Zopper, however you.
So I believe if you are willing to pay a price, you can win in each and every endeavor.
That was indeed inspiring, Surjendu. And last question is that what is the trend that sets everything apart? Like for you, we all have our things, right? We like someone who writes something, someone who reads something, and I know that you take vested interest not just at work, but apart from work also. But what is that one thing that really sets apart everything?
I love sports, so I follow a lot of sports. On the other side, I have a very deep interest in something I call it as deep space. So, all the recent trends of so I have a long engineering career. So I've programmed almost 16, 17 years of my life. So I'm not a very big fan of AI or LLMs that people talk about today, even though it has the potential to change the world. Because of my interest in deep space, I dabble a lot around quantum computing. So quantum computing is basically an intersection between quantum physics and computer science. So that's something which is very fascinating to me. I don't understand a lot of stuff because I don't have structured education in quantum computing, but I like it. I keep reading and watching.
That's really nice because I come from that background of quantum physics, but till date I have not understood. But we all learn, right, in the process.
Yeah.
So thank you again, Surjendu, for being part of this episode, and it was really inspiring. And we hope you had a good time as well. With that, we conclude our session, and we hope to see you soon. If you have any comments or any feedback, do that as well. Thank you so much.